Yeah, so what we've seen in October, and this is using DATS data as of this morning, is we've seen a slight uptick. With fuel, we're looking at about $2.08 per mile. That's up about 3 cents from September. But if you also look, then we started October at $2.15 a mile in their first read. Then it was 2.12. Then it was 2.11. And my general sense is there was probably a little bit more excitement than is warranted. For example, last year, I just checked this morning, rates actually increased with fuel 5 cents a mile last October from last September. So we're tracking kind of like last year. Now, last year we had that port disruption on the East Coast ports. We had the couple-day strike. But I think a lot of it too is feeding into this open question of the English language proficiency enforcement as well as the non-domiciled CDLs. I think that there is a community out there that is really almost wanting this supply side driven recovery in freight rates. And my argument is always, it's always about demand. And I think what's happened a little bit is sometimes we see these movements in rates, and if it fits a narrative people have, it really gets promoted. And I'll just sort of, caution. I was reading an article. I'm teaching a PhD seminar right now. And one statement I was reading yesterday really struck me is that people see non-existent patterns, pay too much attention to exciting events and too little to familiar events, accept data readily as confirming their expectations, interpret competition or talk about causation as evidence that they can control events, attribute good results to their own actions, and blame bad results on chance or other influences that they had no control over. And that was from a 1983 article by Bill Starbuck. But it really sort of, to me, struck home, I think, some of the dynamic we've seen, and that there is at least some constituency that has really pushed this narrative that there's going to be this big supply side shock. And this, to me, harkens back to in the start of 2020, it was going to be the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. It was going to be the thing that was going to wipe out so many drivers that the market would flip. We never got to see how that played out, of course, because the COVID pandemic hit a few months later and the freight market went crazy. But for me, that's where, kind of tying it to the themes you're always talking about. It's always, for me, looking at the fundamentals, because every market cycle that I can think of over the past 2 decades has always been a demand side phenomena much more than a supply side phenomenon.